welcome to the DMV Roundtable podcast. I am your host, Jose Barreto, and in today's episode, Christine Merced decided to join me. How are you, Christine?
Good. How are you, Jose?
Good. Thank you for joining us here at my show. I really appreciate you taking your time to come over. So let's talk a little bit about you. Tell me who you are. Where are you from?
Well, I live in Ashburn, actually Lansdowne, which is in between Ashburn and Leesburg.
Right.
And
But where do you come from? Where?
Oh, you wanna know where?
Yeah,
Okay.
talk to me from.
Okay.
Let's tell people who you are.
Okay.
You came from California,
Should we
right?
start over again?
No.
I'm from San Diego. I'm a very proud San Diegan.
Okay. Were you born there?
I wasn't born there. I was born in Nebraska. My dad is Air Force, so born there.
Okay.
But I grew up and spent the greater part of my life.
What took your family to California?
My mom, her parents lived there.
Okay.
So we grew up there, Chula Vista.
Okay. All right. Okay. So
SoCal.
SoCal. Okay. All right. So you moved there when you were how old?
Was it second grade?
Oh, okay.
So it's a
Very
long
young.
time ago now.
So very young.
Yes,
Okay.
very young.
All right. And so you were there until what? Until
I married my husband and we ended up relocating to Northern California, which is kind of like a whole different state.
okay.
And
what area was that?
it was Barstow,
Okay.
which
Okay.
if you know where Barstow is,
I don't.
yeah.
I mean, I've only
It's like
been. I've only
it's
been.
like
I've
where
been to
you-
San Diego and LA.
It's
That's
like
it.
on your way to Vegas if you're driving.
Okay. Oh, all right. So west, northwest of San Diego. Okay.
And so I lived there for
Northeast. Sorry, northeast.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm not great at
I just-
directions.
yeah.
I just know how to get to Vegas from San Diego.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, I lived there for about a year. Frank was in Afghanistan for that period of time. So
Frank is your husband.
Frank, my husband. Sorry.
Yep.
And he.
So what branch of the
was there
military is
for-
he?
He was Army.
Army. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Army Reserves.
Army Reserves. Okay. Okay.
Then he started contracting, and so the deployments continued on. So.
Okay.
But when he came back from Afghanistan that time, we relocated to gorgeous, wonderful Northern Virginia.
Oh, okay. Okay. And when was that?
2010.
2010.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that was a
So you've been
shock.
here now for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you guys didn't know anybody here?
No.
Okay.
It was very, very different. Anybody from San Diego or West Coast that relocates to East Coast, very different.
Right.
But yeah, and we took like a little break, and we lived in Arizona for a couple of years, but we ended up coming right back. So
Okay. Okay. All
but
right.
yeah, so now we're here.
Now you're here. And we're glad. Okay, awesome. So, family, you're married to Frank. Do you have any kids?
I am. I do. I have two daughters, Addison and Audrey,
Okay.
15 and 12.
15 and 12. Okay.
Yes, teenage years are a blast.
Teenage years are.
Yep.
And with what's going on right now,
Yep,
a lot of
homeschooling's
fun
great.
keeping them home.
They're
Okay.
smarter than me, so I can't help.
Okay.
I mean, when it comes to that, I'm not doing geometry or anything else. So.
Right. That's awesome. All right. So tell me about real estate. What got you into real estate?
I love it. I've always loved it since I was in San Diego before House Hunters and all those different shows came on. I was one of those people that was always trying to look at people's houses,
Right.
and peek.
And you also had a little bit of a background in decorating, right?
Yeah, I mean, casually, it's something that I have a passion for, but I usually do it for friends and family that will ask me to help. When every time I relocate, I always help somebody with all my furniture.
Right.
Most of the time, the last couple times, I was able to sell my homes fully staged with my own stuff.
With your own stuff.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I've been lucky. in
That's good to have for
it is
your
because
career. That
I am able to help my clients out when they think they have to spend money, when really what you can do is just move things around a little bit and
Right.
declutter.
right.
Oh gosh.
That's if they haven't moved. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if they have moved, they're going to have to stage from scratch.
But, sometimes when you look in houses, it might be better to leave it empty.
Sometimes, yeah. Okay, so then when did you get your real estate license?
A couple years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And how do you like it?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, I have a great time. I enjoy, so far, every client I've worked with has been great. I
Mhm.
haven't, had any terrible situations or anything. Everybody's been been a great experience. And luckily in this market, I've been able to win houses.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
And
probably the biggest.
that's been a tough thing to do, is to actually, we're in a seller's market,
Yeah,
and getting
110%.
getting a contract through is rather difficult, especially over the past, I would say actually all year it's been that way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been, when I
Really
look
rough.
at, last year compared to this
Yeah.
this year, whoo! I mean, you weren't like, please,
Yeah,
let
yeah.
there be less than 10 offers.
What have you found that has helped you win offers more times than not?
Definitely, I reach out to the agents right away when I know it's a house.
To the listing agent.
To the listing agent, when I know right away that it's a house my clients are going to be interested in.
Mhm.
I'll call right away. Sometimes the signs go up a little quicker for the coming soons, and so I'll make the call right away and just try to introduce myself, get a some sort of banter
Get a
going.
rapport with the agent. Yeah, that
and
helps.
So once the offer goes in, and when I call them to let them know I submit, it's, hey, it's Christine. Oh,
Right.
hi, Christine.
They can-
How you doing?
Yeah,
And they remember, because sometimes it's weeks before the house actually goes live.
right.
And so that whole time I usually follow up, hey, everything's still going good? Are we still tracking for this date? And, a couple of times I think me being that agent that proactively went out there and talked to them about rapport helps.
Right.
And I'm very particular on my submissions of offers.
Right.
They're always very clean. They're always very organized and,
Good.
squared away.
Yeah, that's
Thanks to my
that-
broker. He's so great.
That's how it's supposed to be, right? So, escalation clauses are also helping. I think. Right?
I don't think this year I've submitted an offer without an escalation
Yeah,
clause.
yeah, that's right.
You can't. It's
Yeah, you have to have that conversation with your client and say, look, I know that they're asking for this here, but based on comps, we're likely going to end up here. I think we if you do real comps, you understand where the property's headed and where it's going to possibly land. I mean, more times than not, you can.
where so when when the offer's in, that the appraisal is going to meet the sales price, so you're not going to have to do that whole fallback and figure out renegotiating again.
Right.
So
have you had to waive inspections?
I have had to waive inspections, and a lot of times if it's a government back loan, that's your only one piece that you can play with.
Right.
You can't waive the appraisal. You can't waive financing contingencies.
Financing with VA is impossible. Yeah, you can't do it. Yeah.
So you can't, and I'm not huge on waiving everything unless my client is an advocate of, I want this house no matter what. I don't care what happens. I want it.
Right.
Because you always want to advise them to protect themselves, as much as possible. And once you waive everything, well,
yep, you're left unprotected.
Fingers crossed,
you have
everything works
Your
out.
loan has to go through. The house cannot have any structural damage. So
Yeah. I think sometimes those liabilities that actually are there are not explained well.
Right.
So I always like to educate my clients as much as I possibly can, so that if they make a choice like that, they're making that choice.
Right.
And in the end.
Yeah, in the end, they're going to make the final
Yeah.
decision, but you do have to. That you're doing the right thing. You have to tell them what the pitfalls are
Just
of
like
waiving financing. 'Cause, they do have an EMD in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes I say these things without
Earnest
explaining.
money deposit.
Earnest money deposit that every property requires you to put a deposit down, and that's in the middle. That's if you can't complete the contract and
you just lost that
and
money.
find out you can lose that money. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people need to understand, you got to be educated, you got to pay attention and know, even though things don't usually happen that way, there's always a possibility every single time. Every transaction's different.
That's right. That's right. All right. So tell me, where do you concentrate your business?
I work primarily from Sterling West. So
Ashburn.
I do a ton in
Leesburg.
Ashburn, Leesburg, Lansdowne, Aldie, Willowsford, South Riding. I'm trying to think what else is out there.
Aldie. Did you mention
Yeah,
Aldie?
I said Aldie.
Aldie,
Yeah.
Brambleton.
Yeah. Well, I know Ashburn breaks up into so many parts, right?
Yeah, it does,
Brambleton,
yeah.
Broadlands, Ashburn.
Right, yeah.
Old Ashburn, New Ashburn.
Chantilly, you do Chantilly, though,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Chantilly. Uh-huh. I mean, that doesn't mean that you won't go to Reston, Sterling.
Oh, of course
I
not.
mean, Reston,
I've done
Centerville.
also Reston,
Fairfax.
Herndon, things like that.
Right.
But
you
the
focus.
areas that I focus on that I know because I live there
Right.
and I've been there for years, those areas are where I primarily am known.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, and
yeah.
it's a good thing to do that. It's good to take an area and focus on that area because you know it well.
Yeah.
And that's how you can help your clients. You know, because
Yeah.
you can actually tell. Look, I live here. I can tell you what
I can tell you
expect
how crowded this street gets
Yeah,
when school starts.
in the morning or in the afternoon. Yeah, right now people won't know, but
I just actually
7,
experienced that. I said, listen, there's
Trying to-
no carpool right now.
Right.
But carpool, you're not getting through here between like
That's right.
7:30 to 8:10.
Yeah, yeah. If you're going on 7 and you're trying to go to 28 in the morning, it's not going to be like this.
Yeah.
You know.
Enjoy.
So, and so that's good. That's good. All right. So I know you do also first-time home buyers. Do you
Mhm.
like working with first-time home buyers?
I do. I love it because it's fun.
Okay.
They've never done it before, and you get the opportunity to make it a really great experience.
Right.
I can't say, looking back on my first home purchase, that I look at it with great reverence and love. It was very stressful and not great. So for me, I use that to make sure when people look back, they go, wow, that was really great. What are you talking about? It wasn't horrible for me.
Right.
You know, you kind of protect them from anything they don't need to know that's going on the other side, and make sure that they feel like they're in control and they know what they're doing. I love millennial couples. They're great. I just wrapped up with one.
Right.
They're very smart and very able to know what they want and what they don't want. So
Yeah.
it took a while.
Yeah.
You know, it was like,
Millennial buyers are actually starting to dominate the market. I'm going to read you something real quick.
Okay.
The NAR home buyer and seller generational trends report that although millennials are buying at an age much later than the generation before, which is us,
mhm.
at 34%, they're the largest generational group of buyers with a median age of 31. Are they buying or not? They are. Later than their parents, but at 75 million strong, they're the largest generation in U.S. history. They also favor urban living, which keeps them out of the home buying market a little longer given the high cost of real estate in large cities. Other factors for failure to launch into the home ownership, high student debt, and delayed marriage.
Yeah.
But they're buying.
Yeah, I was gonna say
And-
because they're the way that they live their life is a little bit different. Like the stages are different, as
Right.
ours were from our parents. Like they do marry later, they have kids later. It's like not everyone, I'm sure, but
Yeah,
the ones I've dealt with are right about early 30s,
right.
starting to buy. But they're not necessarily wanting the same things that everybody else wants, especially
Right.
the ones without kids. They're, they don't necessarily want to live in the neighborhoods where everybody's booing each other for Halloween, or,
Right.
So, and luckily Ashburn and Lansdowne, Leesburg have lots of pocket areas where you can do like more of that urban style living.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
in the suburbs,
In the suburbs. Yeah. Well, you also have a lot of, and right now with COVID, being in the urban areas is not as popular as it was 10 months ago,
Yeah.
or 11 months ago. But yeah, I mean, it's the millennials are definitely right now
Shopping.
they're shopping. They're shopping, and they shop differently than we did. They do almost everything exclusively online, which is
Mhm.
fine. But then at the end of the day, they still are going to need, especially the
Yeah.
first-time home buyers, are going to need the guidance that.
yeah,
And
and
we
they
can-
don't just go with whatever you say too. They
Right.
like all
And
the
that's good.
answers very clear. I
Actually,
think it's great. I
that-
wish I was that smart
Yep,
when I was buying a house.
I agree. I agree.
So
Yep.
yeah, it's been great so far.
hmm So, what about sellers? How would you handle a seller today? I know that marketing, it's a thing that's not a. I mean, I've seen a lot of agents that don't put too much effort into marketing because it's such a seller's market. But I feel that's a mistake. I think you can really. This is the time, even if it's a seller's market, it's actually an opportunity for an agent to really get the max out of the property for their clients and
100%.
sellers, and I feel like that's not happening
Yeah.
right now.
No,
What
I
about you?
think I think looking at just the pictures
Mhm.
that I see on the MLS, that's my number one trigger. Is I know if you have great pictures, your house is going to sell for more. You're
Right.
going to have more traffic, and we know when you go in the house, it doesn't have an Instagram filter on it anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You see the truth, but you
Oh, yeah.
went out.
Right.
And now you see the potential. Now they see the potential, or oh, but I love this part. It just takes getting out. I think for me, photos is number one.
Right.
social media is huge. You
Huge.
got to put it on.
Huge.
You got
have
to put it on the
use social
gram.
media.
You got to put it on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's where everybody's seeing it, and they're all utilizing the same, portals. I don't need to advertise for them, but we all know what they are, the housing
Right.
sites that everybody's on.
Right.
And that's where, my last couple that I worked with, that's where they found everything that they liked. So they
Right.
were going on there. But sellers, 100%, your agent should be doing great pictures. They should be marketing for you. They should be hustling just as much as they would hustle if it was, a buyer's market, not a
Right.
seller's market.
Right. They should be doing the Matterport 360 so
Yeah.
that people can see the house.
Oh, that's
in
great.
3D.
The drones and
Yeah, they should be doing the marketing materials in
Yeah.
the house so that when people are walking through the house, they can, they,
Oh, sorry. I thought that would be obvious. Yeah,
Yeah,
they should.
but for people out there that
Yeah.
are listening, it's not so obvious. So that's why I want to
Yes.
give them a little bit of what we do for ourselves.
It shouldn't be any different. I don't get. There's nothing different that I do now that I didn't do 6 months ago or before
Right.
COVID
Before
hit.
COVID, yeah.
You should be working just as hard because now you have an opportunity to really max the profit for your client, and that's what we're here for, right?
Right.
That's
Exactly.
why you hire a realtor.
Exactly, and that's why I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities out there, and even accepting contracts too quick,
Mm-hmm.
which is a mistake that a lot of listing agents are making, where they put the house on the market, they just don't want to deal with it. They just
My favorite is when you call
Come
and
on.
they say it's already
I mean-
ratified, and you're like, it's been on for 17 minutes.
Yeah, what are you talking? So that's a disservice to the seller. I mean, I get it. Sometimes you can't help that.
Yeah.
The seller just
Seller
wants
wants
something
it done.
quick,
Mhm.
and I get it. But come on,
But
if you talk to your seller and you say, just give me 3 days, give me a full weekend,
Yeah.
let me market this thing, let me get you more money. I don't think you're going to find a lot of sellers unless there's an emergency or anything like that
Yeah.
that are going to say, no, I don't want more money. You know what I mean? So-
I put in an offer on a house that had 17 offers.
Yeah.
17
yeah,
offers.
yeah.
And it was on for 2 days.
Yeah.
When the realtor just paid for them to stay at a hotel for
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah.
Said, let me
Just-
open house
yeah,
it.
you're gonna
I'll pay for
trust
your
me.
hotel. And
Yeah, it's I'm going to make you more money.
Yeah.
So,
they did.
so yeah. Anyway, but so speaking of that, that's market conditions right now are it's a seller's market. Buyer beware that you're gonna if you're looking to buy, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
I think do you agree? Would you say it's gonna be tough for a while now? Because I think the spring is
Yeah,
coming
it's-
up again, and
The mortgage rates are really fueling that. The buyers coming into the market, so the competition versus the inventory is huge, and the rates are going to stay low through. Just speaking to my lender the other day through this year.
right,
So we're not going to next 2021.
right,
I don't think it's going to slow down,
right,
and especially in our area, we're kind of a bubble. We have the government, we have
Right.
all the acronyms.
Right.
People live here, people want to live. Especially I have tons of people in Ashburn and Lansdowne that have families that want to live in that specific area.
right.
It's
Yeah.
not going to stop.
Yeah,
So.
I don't think it's gonna
COVID's
stop.
not stopping anybody from from shopping. We just are very careful.
Right,
So
right. And I think as COVID starts to
as people
to
get
go in
vaccinated
and get back into it, I think the spring is looking like it's going to be a real a bear for buyers. I mean, buyers are because the inventory is still low, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know, especially in.
Do you still find that like if you have a buyer, that there's not a lot out there?
No, and I usually tell them now, a little disclaimer I give now that I didn't give before was be ready to give at least 2 to 5 offers. Be
Mhm.
prepared.
Right.
Be prepared not to win the first couple times. We'll give it our best shot. But normally it takes that first offer
Right.
for them to really understand that you're speaking the truth.
Right.
And that it's not about being lucky. It's not about, you really have to put the numbers in.
Right.
You've got to go. If you want it, you got to be in it to win it.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
once they lose the first one, maybe they'll give a second one. Well, I really don't want to put that much money. Oh, I really don't want to go this high. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
But then you show them houses that, are more realistic. They don't want the house.
Right.
So, I'm always like, okay, totally. Let's go shop for these. And, oh, yeah, no, I think we're okay with going higher.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. So tell me real quick, just give me your overview of what the real estate process is like. Just walk me through the process real quick from beginning to end for somebody who's a first-time home buyer. Say I'm a first-time home buyer. What do I do?
First time you may want to, if you're buying alone or you're buying with your spouse, assess kind of where you want to look.
Right.
Then find yourself a real estate agent that you can talk to, even if you don't sign, anything with them. You just want to talk to them and get information of, this is what I'm looking for. What's your professional opinion?
Right.
Can I find this where I want to live? A lot of times people want to live in certain areas and they find out, oh, I can't for the amount of money that I have.
Right.
So an agent can help provide you with but there's these great areas, 1, 2, 3, a couple miles from where you ideally want to be.
Right.
Once you figure that part out, even if you take them to places, I try to give them the whole picture. So I take them everywhere I can that provides them what they're looking for.
Okay.
And then they can say, no, I don't like this area.
Sure.
I only want to be here.
Right.
And once you find clarity on that, you're good to go. So once you find your house, you decide to make an offer, and it's always the buyer's choice.
Right.
We're just here to advise.
Right.
Submit the offer. They'll either get it or they won't get it.
Right.
They'll find out in a few days.
Right. And so once I'm under contract, what can I expect? Like what kind of expenses can I expect? Like what?
Right off the bat, you're going to have your EMD, your earnest money deposit.
Okay.
Which is usually like 1% of the sales price.
Okay. So if I'm buying a $500,000 house, we're talking about $5,000.
Yeah. And
Okay.
what I always make clear is it's not a held deposit. They actually cash that check.
Right.
Some people don't realize that they cash it and they
Right.
think, oh, I can write a check.
I mean, prepare to give it within a couple of days because you have I believe it's 5 days that we typically say that you
that
have.
the title needs to have it.
Mhm.
So that's the first cost. Then they have home inspection that they're going to need to pay for, and that can run depending on the size of the house.
What would give me a
usually-
ballpark?
Usually $400 to $600
Okay.
is where I see it come in. And radon, if they add radon on, that's a couple $100 in addition to
Right.
that. Once you do that, I'm trying to think.
Appraisal, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, appraisal.
Yeah.
I
that's
just had a hard one come
that's
in.
Yeah, we were just off camera. We were having a conversation about a client that she's dealing with an appraisal issue. But
Yeah.
anyway,
But we're through it.
you're through it.
We made it through.
Yeah, you made it through.
It's all okay. So
See, an appraisal it'll also run you like $500.
yeah, and that comes in on the Alta though. You're going to see that that's not
Right.
out of your pocket immediately, so that's part of closing costs.
Right.
So you have that. You have closing costs. You have the pest.
But some lenders, though, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, sorry.
There are some lenders that require you to
Oh,
pay,
yeah, pocket.
with a credit card. But yeah,
Haven't had that one yet.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Then you also have, depending on who negotiated for the pest termite inspection,
Mhm.
but that's like that can be like $40.
Right.
You have that. You have closing costs.
And what typically are my closing costs? Like
Your closing costs are going to include all your loan lender fees. They're going to include the commissions paid to agents. They're going to include all the title charges.
Right.
Any credit, seller or buyer, if you're credit giving seller subsidy, all the insurance, prepayments, HOA, anything that is going to be prorated is all listed on the Alta.
Okay.
I don't have one over.
No, that's okay.
I'm going off a
That's okay.
frame of reference.
That's okay.
I'm trying to read it.
Just trying to give somebody an idea of
Yeah.
what they can expect to pay, in terms of closing costs.
Yeah, I mean, the
they-
one, say 500,000, I think it would be right around 25 or so, right? Like,
total with down payment and everything. Because
less the 505 is right around 28, less 5,000, like 20,
20
yeah.
grand. Yeah, something like that.
right around there.
Yeah. Okay.
It's what, like two
It's about 3%.
I say
So about 3% is the
yeah.
cost, and then you have all your other.
Yeah, I
Side
would say
is-
like 2 to 3%, somewhere usually in there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And COVID-19, how has that changed the way that you show houses? Do you?
I make sure everybody has masks, gloves. I bring antibacterial, so as soon as we're at the house, I usually ask the client that I be the one to touch the doorknobs open, if it has been open. I appreciate when sellers just leave everything open,
Yep.
so that you don't have to touch, but that doesn't always
But that doesn't always happen. Yeah. And
Um,
listing agents are prepared enough to have things at the
yeah,
entrance, like.
ready to go. And
Yeah.
the booties, booties, gloves, mask.
Right.
Really pretty good. And try to just limit touching any surfaces that don't need to be touched.
Right.
Especially if people are living in that. I understand it's really difficult right now for people that are living in the property while it's being shown.
Right.
So I just always try to ensure that my clients are respectful and I'm respectful of the property itself and just try to limit everything. and make it quick.
To make it quick. Well, yeah.
As quick, I mean,
as quick as you can
yeah.
after and having seen it. But yes,
Meaning
I
not
get your
hanging
point.
out in the house
Yeah.
discussing an offer
Right,
for
you can
45
do that
minutes.
outside.
Yeah.
And that's a courtesy to both sides, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to be there too long because you don't know what the family or the people, not just the family who lives there, but there are other
Right.
agents showing it who are bringing families in.
One of my least favorite things
Mhm. Yep.
is when I'm there for my showing on time
Uh-huh.
and the door's locked
Right.
and there's
Oh.
another agent inside.
Yep. It's especially when they're taking your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're standing in the cold
Yep.
and they really don't care.
Yep. But it happens. That's real estate for you. But so and you also don't want to be there for them. Like you don't want.
Everybody
hanging out
deserves
at
their
anybody's
own
house. Yeah, they
time
deserve their own
to look
space.
at the property
Sure.
and decide.
So it's a new way of living right now with COVID that we all have to deal with, but we're gonna get through it.
The lines at the open houses.
Yeah. I try to tell my clients,
I
let's just
don't
not
want
go to an open house.
Let's book it
Just let's just have a private tour. You can have a private tour whenever you want.
The open house makes them feel even extra, stressed out about it all
Yeah.
because there's a whole line.
Yeah, there's people there, and so you feel, it's better to have your own private tour
Yeah.
where it's just you, and then you can take your time, 30 to 45 minutes to look at the house, and
Yeah.
no issues. So
So your client's not, do you really like it, or is that there's 20 other people that want to look at it that
Right.
make you
that
think you
makes
like it?
exactly. So it takes that out of the equation and makes you and allows you to think clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, great. Thank you for taking the time to be on my show.
Always. Anytime, Jose.
Really appreciate you being here. So now, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, tell me how they can contact you.
Well, there's the Gram and there's Facebook
Okay.
at Christine Merced Realtor.
Okay.
And there's also just old school texting and calling.
What's your number?
703-936-1673.
Say it one more time.
703-936-1673.
Okay. So if anybody out there needs an amazing realtor, she has my staff. She's really awesome. Give Christine a call. Thank you for being here, and thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.